Welcome back to the Make Love to You podcast. I'm your host, Darnell Davis, and today we step into part 3 of our 4-part series, Healing in Real Time. And listen, y'all, this series is different because I've literally opened the door and invited you in to my own healing journey, where I deal with that vulnerable and honest questions, the pain, and the growth of healing in real time. Part 1 was a therapy session. We invited in Dominique Andres, who's a psychotherapist, and she allowed me to talk the pain out. She allowed me to give the pain a voice. In part 2, we brought in astrologer Deb McBride, and we learned how the cycles that I was going through in my life right now are directly connected with the cycles of the universe. And now in part 3, we turn to spiritual guidance. We learn how God's presence is a lot closer than most of us think it is when we're going through tough times, and how the real healing starts when we start to ask those questions that we've been avoiding. So, whether you've been here since episode 1 or you just joining us right now, you're never too late for healing in real time.
The mailman's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let your...
For me, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I was taught that my religion was the only true religion, like most religions teach. I was taught that it was the only path for everlasting life, that it was the only path for me to see my mother again in the resurrection. And that made me wrestle with one question: how could it just be one religion that's in God's favor? That question made me not only doubt my own faith, it made me doubt any other faith. But as I got older, as my spiritual journey started to expand, I started to understand that spirituality is like a tree full of fruit, and that you can pick from any branch on that tree, whatever nourishes your spirit, whatever nourishes your soul. And that's where we're going with today's conversation. Today I sit down with Reverend Juan, a minister at Unity Church here in Miami. And part of Reverend Juan's work is evolving our understanding of faith, our understanding of God, and our understanding how personal and powerful our connection with God really is. So I invite y'all to buckle up, open your mind, and step into part 3 with me and Reverend Juan. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rev Juan, for being here with me today for this special 50th birthday episode of mine, as well as to give me the spiritual counseling that I need at this moment. My good friend and client, Kevin, who's a member of Unity Church, speaks so highly of this church, loves the sermons. Me personally, I haven't been to church. Last time I've been to church, I think Moses was there. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I went to the Kingdom Hall 3 times a week. I studied the Bible intently. This is where my faith started, with the Bible in the church, then the Kingdom Hall. So I say all that to say, I'm very familiar. This is my foundation, the Bible, and this level of spirituality. So I'm so happy to have you here. And any light that you can shed on me and our listeners, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Nelly, for having me. And really, it's Juan.
Okay.
I'm somebody that also recognizes that this is just about connection. This is about relationship. And through all of this, I believe we can really connect with the divine and the God that is always present. The invitation is that regardless of how we come to it, that we open our hearts and we open our minds to recognizing that there is this divine essence that truly is seeking to bring us comfort, to bring us peace, and to bring us into a greater level of understanding that we have this personal relationship with God, and that we can lean on it regardless of what is going on. And actually, I believe that as a result of the things that happen in our lives, the invitation becomes even more clear. Lean on it, be supported by it, and then just allow it to be what guides us.
What do you mean when you say lean on it?
That's such a great question. One of the things that I truly believe is that it's not about spiritual bypassing. And so many times we do come to religion or faith to try to bypass some of the hardship, some of the pain. And actually, I believe that our faith becomes stronger if we allow ourselves, like you do, to be vulnerable with the challenges and the difficulties and let them be what supports us into this greater relationship with source. And you can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it divinity, you can call it love, whatever it is that you call it. I just have a faith that it's always present and we can really tap into the grace of God in the midst of pain to move us into a greater understanding of us.
Thank you so much, Juan. I sincerely appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to everything that you have to offer today and all your insight and your light. As you know, my podcast, Make Love to You, it's all about using my journey, using the things that I've gone through in my life as a reflection to help other people get out of their pain. But when I was standing in the midst of that fire, in the midst of this depression that I'm in right now on my 50th birthday, I didn't know what to do. And Kevin, who I know from who goes to Unity Church, he's like, Nelly, this is the exact moment. You have to create another episode. You have to speak to your listeners. You have to let everybody know what you're going through. And it didn't make sense to me, but every person that has been on here, it is really lifting me up. It's helping me understand that I don't have to do it alone. I've had relationships and friendships with some of the most amazing people in the world. I have never been this sad this long that I can possibly remember. And I want to get out of it and I want as much help as I can get.
I believe that God is in the questions. God is in the moments where we are seeking clarity, but maybe not have it. Wayne Dyer, spiritual teacher,
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
yeah, Wayne Dyer, he used to say, specifically spoke about it about purpose. But he was like, even when you're asking the question, what is my purpose? That's literally your purpose trying to make itself known to you.
Wow.
And I believe the same thing. Even when we ask, where's the love? Where's the comfort? Where's the peace? If we don't make that question or that feeling wrong, we get to a place of starting to realize, oh, that's actually peace trying to show itself to me. Because if I wasn't even open to the question, I wouldn't be open to feeling it or seeing it. And even if it's a tiny little crack where that opening can come through, I think it really expands, it grows, and it deepens us in ways that maybe we hadn't before. And I just want to share also that I've found that sometimes it is in experiencing other people's pain, other people's challenges, that it connects with something that's within us that we may not have wanted to see, or we were just not ready to see. One of my other favorite spiritual teachers is Neil Donald Walsh. And he basically said this, so many times we beat ourselves up for how did I create this? Or why am I in this depression when there are so many blessings, right? Or how am I now having to deal with some of these emotions and feelings that are coming up when I thought I had already moved beyond it? And he invites us to look at maybe that's the wrong question, or maybe that's the wrong perspective, or there's a different perspective that we can use, which is, my soul is now ready to face it. My soul is now ready to move through it, and my soul is now ready to grow through it. And so rather than it being looked upon as something that's missing or that says that there's something less than within us, it's actually just how wise and powerful our souls are, that they're saying, okay, now there's going to be a healing through this.
So the one thing that really stuck with me and resonated when what you said was at the very beginning. Well, everything you said was powerful. I don't want to take anything away or minimize anything, but the one thing that really hit me was the fact that the answer or the healing is in the question itself. So when we get to that point to ask the question, like that right there, you saying is that's our soul letting us know, or our soul saying, I'm ready. I'm ready for the healing. I'm ready for the answer. And in my own practice, I always say in my journey that I try to make medicine out of my wounds. I make the pain the medicine. So I guess what I'm looking for right now is what are the actionable steps that I should be taking and our listeners should be taking once we ask that question. So why is this happening to me? Why am I so sad? Why am I so depressed? Now what's the next step?
Well, I think you're doing it right. I mean, you were talking about leaning on community, leaning on others. I don't believe that that necessarily means that other people are going to provide the answers. I think it just means that as humans, as people, I think that we're not meant to walk the spiritual path alone. We're meant to walk it with each other. And again, that doesn't mean that the answers come from each other. I think it just makes the answers easier to connect with if we know that we can at least lean or hold somebody's hand when we're in the question. And so I really believe in the power of community. I really believe in the power of not making the question wrong or bad. I believe in the power of not just asking the question, but creating the spaces to actually hear the answer, right? And for me, what I've always found is if I can be with, maybe I don't understand it now, maybe I'm not feeling connected now, and I know that I can be. And to me, affirmations, what you're doing, you mentioned having your own conversations with God in the chat, you know, God can take it, right? Like God can be asked the hard questions. God can even be told, my God, you're taking too long, right? You're taking too long. He can
And I
take,
think that's one of the major things. It's like because I've lived such a blessed life, miracle after miracle after miracle, I'm just not used to things lasting this long. Like I said in the beginning, this is the longest that I just keep asking. I keep asking, but of, to uh, piggyback what you just said right there about it's all in community. And that's the first thing that I realized with every person that I've been talking to, because I'm such an independent person, because I hold so much in, because I feel like I need to help everybody else and I can't ask for help. The more conversations that I have, the lighter I feel. I'll be honest with you. I feel so much lighter today in this moment right now after I've talked to three or four other people already than I did when I initially reached out to you. So I guess it is working and it is helping for me to create this moment where I'm able to share my pain and everything that I'm going through right now with you and everybody else. A lot of it is a deep sense of rejection, though, and I'm just wondering from a faith standpoint, how can I transform that feeling of rejection?
I think we get to a place in our lives where we start realizing that the things that are taking place outside of us or in our relationships, they're really connecting to something that is within us. And rejection can really open us up to recognizing that there's a core wound within us that just makes us feel separate from, makes us feel unworthy. And I believe that the reality is that most of us walking this earth are feeling that, right? A lot of faith traditions, tend to tell you that you have to be a certain way for God to love you or to be a good person. And that all I believe stems from this idea that there's something that we have to do in order to be worthy of love, of peace, of grace. And the reality is that that's our divine birthright. We've just forgotten that. And so when we get rejected, I think it's actually the external world making us recognize that something within us has already, we've rejected ourselves. We've rejected our good. We've rejected our connection with God. And it's an external way of being able to now be with that core wound and see how the healing can take place.
I had a conversation with a medicine man, and he spoke about a healing wound, a wound that needs us to see it, needs us to face it right now. Can you speak a little bit more on that core wound? Because I'm it's really hitting my heart right now when you say that.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned about that the medicine man shared with you is so true, right? So again, we're
It's called the Chiron return in that world.
right, right. In my world, I would just say that it's this spiritual wound that we felt ourselves separate from, a spiritual wound that makes us feel like our needs may not be met. And even when we've had a blessed life and there's so much that we have been able to receive and embody and live, you know, it's like the onion skin, right? And so there's always a deeper layer to go until we really recognize just how worthy we are of our own divinity. That's the other piece, right? Like so being able to really embody our truth, which is that we and God are one, our truth that God is always present in us, that the very grace of God is not only within us but within our lives. And that doesn't mean that everything in our lives then feels right or feels comfortable or feels good. What I believe about grace is that in everything there is the opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity to look at that core wound. And I believe that that's really the primary reason why we go through the spiritual path, to uncover that core wound. And let me tell you, so many faith traditions, so many other modalities will tell you or will share with you about these different wounds, like I'm not worthy, I'll never have enough, whatever that may be. At the end of the day, I think it's only one core wound. I am not worthy of my oneness with God. I am not worthy.
When you say my oneness with God, like because I've heard a lot of times we're made in God's image. We have God within us. Is that what you mean when you say that?
I do. Yeah. We have God within us. We are an expression of God. When we talk about a lived experience of God, it's through us, right? Like how we show up or how others are showing up within us. I have a 12-year-old son. He's like, well, wait a minute. Like, you're telling me to believe in God, but I don't see God. And I tell him all the time, actually, you see God all the time. You see God in other people and how they show up in love and peace and grace. You see God in the blessings that we get to live in. You see God in that spiritual understanding that is seeking to be understood by you. It's all part of that, and it's all part of the spiritual journey. And in Unity, which is where I'm a minister, we do believe that one of our principles is that yes, God is everywhere present. And because God is everywhere present, then God has to be present within us.
So
And that
I'm
just
sorry.
feels too big. It feels too big for
Yeah,
people.
yeah, but Juan, and I really want to wrap my head around that because
Yeah.
it's something that I feel. I always think about the scripture where Jesus said, "You can do the same things that I do if you have half the size, if you have faith half the size of a mustard seed."
Yeah.
And thing that I've always been afraid of on my journey is to say anything blasphemous or to take away the power from God. But at the same time, I've been taught by so many beautiful spiritual people that I do have a certain power within me. I think a lot of times we separate ourselves from God, and we and I just want your understanding on this. Like, is it a completely separate thing, or are we really one with God?
I believe that we are one with God. There is no separate thing. And I think that actually, I would just ask you, is this maybe the reason why you're in the questions that you're in now?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. That is exactly what I feel like I'm waiting to be given something else from something else, as opposed to giving it to myself.
And it's already been given to you, right? Like that's the beauty of it. It's already been given to you. You came into this world with it. our life experiences, our trauma, our hurts, our difficult relationships have, in some ways, we have used them or others have tried to use them to make us feel separate from that power. What I would say is that it's already been given to you, it's already been given to us. Our work is to fully embody it. And we can't fully embody it if we're not in the question of where's it at? Where is it coming from? How can I live it more fully? And I think maybe, just knowing a little bit about your story and where you're at, maybe those are the questions that can invite you into that closer relationship. And it's so interesting because I say with God, I actually tend to say with and in God, our oneness with and in God, because with already, see, even the language already makes it feel like separation. We
Yes,
got
exactly,
two things
exactly.
together. And it's a way of us trying to make peace with it or understand it. At the end of the day, we are the ones that are here to embody all that God is and the goodness of God. And I think that many of us have those experiences and try to sometimes push them away. And I would just say, I don't believe that we can be fully healed until we fully become aware of that and allow that.
Would you say acknowledge our full power?
Acknowledge our full power. And in that power, there's even more because that power is the power to love and to love ourselves and the power to see and experience love, the power to recognize divine comfort and be the divine comfort for ourselves and others. In that power is the power to understand and the power to be guided and recognize that that guidance comes from something that is at the core of who we are.
Wow, this is a lot to unpack, but everything you're saying, I've already felt, I've already known, and I think that is a part of the major struggle. It's just acknowledging everything that you're saying right now. Feeling like somebody gave me an analogy one time about a surfer riding a wave, and it's the most powerful wave that the surfer has ever been on. And at a certain point, the surfer started to feel like he was the wave. You know what I mean? He was just as powerful as this powerful ocean that he was on right there. And that's when the wave crashed. And I feel like that's where my fear is about acknowledging my power. Because when I start to reach out and help so many people, and I'm seeing that my energy, my light is helping so many other people, I get this feeling of, okay, this is my purpose. And I think I made the wave crash a little bit with that. I feel like I over acknowledged my power, not
Mm,
in an arrogant way, but where I really saw, okay, this is who I am. And it seemed like at that moment where I felt this divine connection, where I felt this divine magic living within me, it seems like that's when everything started to crash.
mm. You know, I love that analogy, and if I may, and I'm going to, right?
Yes, yeah, 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 please.
It's an interesting analogy in that, and it's an evolution of another analogy that people used to use in spiritual circles. God is the ocean, and we are a drop in the ocean, and everything that makes up, the ocean and the water is within the drop. And I love the wave analogy because the wave is simply an expression. It's not a smaller piece of the ocean, it's an expression of the ocean. And I wonder if sometimes we're so caught up, though, in the form of the ocean, of the wave, that we get nervous, we get scared, we get depressed, we get sad, we get hurt when we feel that wave crash. And are we allowing ourselves to remember we are the wave of an ocean as the expression of God, and we are the ocean. We are that divinity. And so it doesn't matter necessarily, and I don't mean this in I don't mean in a bypassing way. There will be crashes, but the beauty of it is your truth, my truth, is that we get to form ourselves into the ocean again. The wave was what you were doing and how you were being in that moment. And that moment has passed and you are reforming the kind of wave that you are meant to be for this next iteration, this next evolution of what's at hand for you.
This is this is a lot. This is a lot right now. Because that's another thing that the medicine man was saying. He said the old you has died, and a new you is being born. And you're saying the same thing. I'm reforming, I'm re-expressing myself. And I think again, this what we're doing right now is that rebirth. And in a sense, when we're going through stuff like this, is you want to hold on to the pain. We become addicted to pain. It becomes like, it's the antibody, this pain. And the things that you're saying, I'm acknowledging it and it's making me feel better. And it's a part of me that's still like, wait a minute, but it can't be that easy. It can't be that simple. It's like, and now I'm wondering, is that me just wanting to still attach myself to this pain that I'm feeling right now?
I believe it could be, right? What I would also say, and something that you mentioned earlier made me think of this. A really beautiful practice for me would be try to prove yourself or to prove it to yourself that you are healing. So, for example, just take a moment to write down some of the ways in which, you saying I am healing is true and you start writing down like specific experiences or ways of being or attitudes or shifts that are taking place that support it. If the question becomes like, it can't be that easy, it can't be that easy, write it down. What are 3 ways in which it can be that easy?
Wow.
Right? And
Wow.
just do that. And the other component of it is for me, then bring prayer into it, bring meditation into it, bring affirmations into it, because I believe that that helps, some of the what we were just talking about, like writing things down, that's about the mind, right? And telling the monkey mind to mind its business and that you are centering yourself in the truth that you are seeking now to experience. That said, there's got to be a grounding that happens also. We can't just be in the mind. We have to be in the heart and we have to be grounded in these truths. And I believe that that happens with prayer. And when we speak prayer in unity, it's not a beseeching prayer. It's not to a God outside of us. Prayer, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said it was like the most accelerated thought that we could have, because prayer is simply the thought that we and God are one, that the power is within us. So whatever you can do to affirm that, that is prayer. And prayer doesn't change out things outside of us. Prayer changes us and how we relate to things and how we see things. So use that prayer, use meditation, use just the silence, which is in time of meditation, just allowing yourself to be still, and allowing yourself to go to that place within you that knows that you know that you know. This that's part of it too. The mind tells us we don't know enough, or where our challenge, we are our questions. No, we have those things, and there's something within us that underneath the core wound does know that we are one with and that we have that power.
So basically, for anybody who's listening, who's feeling hopeless right now, those are the steps that we take. Those are the action steps that we take. And
Yeah.
that is acknowledging it. That is acknowledging the power within us, the connection with the divinity, divine, I should say, and as well the prayer aspect. And that is very, very, because a lot of people aren't necessarily religious. And when you explain prayer the way you just did, wow. The co-founder, he said again, he said it is the most powerful,
Yeah, it's the most highly accelerated thought that we can have,
the
because
most
it's the
highly
thought.
accelerated thought that we can have. Prayer, the most highly accelerated thought that we can have. Wow.
Because it's the thought that brings us to become more aware of our power, of our own divinity, and how that in itself is the wave of the ocean of God.
How can I not feel better after this? I mean, and I know you like to just be called Juan, but I like a cool name too. And Rev Juan is way cooler than just Juan. So I just want to, before we wrap up, first of all, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate this. And I'm sure everybody who's looking and listening appreciates it as well, that you take the time For anybody, a little background. I just reached out to Juan last night, and he had a full day today, and he made himself available to me this morning. And I appreciate you wholeheartedly. I really do. I love you for that. And I really, really, really appreciate you. And I want you to let people know how they can get in contact with you, how they can see Unity, any resources that you might want to share with anybody, so they can definitely feel this love and light that you shared on me today.
Well, thank you for that, Nelly. And I just want to say, I love you for being in the question, for inviting me to be a part of this, and for allowing other people to, through your vulnerability, be able to tap into theirs and allow that healing to take place. That power is always healing us. We may sometimes just not fully recognize it. And so I think you're giving people the opportunity to recognize it more. So for those that want to reach out, you can reach out to our website is unityonthebay.org. You could actually connect with me through the website. There's a way for you to request some time of prayer or a one-on-one meeting with me there. And I know we're going to make some booklets and resources available. They're on our website, but I know we're going to be linking them at the bottom. Just know that I trust and I believe that this is God speaking to you, and this is your own healing power speaking to you.
Like I said, I'm not performative. I'm always straight from the heart, and I am so grateful. I feel so full right now, and I'm just so appreciative, so grateful, and I'm sure everybody else is too. And I just want to give you a energetic air hug right now because I appreciate it so
Received,
much.
received, received.
I feel so much better already, and I see the light. I truly do. I see it in me, and I see it ahead of me as well. So thank you so much. I want you to have an amazing day. I want you to have a blessed day, and I thank God for you.
Well, I thank God for you, and I will be holding you in my heart and prayers. Thank you
Wow.
for having me.
Thank you so much, Juan. Have a beautiful day. As we wrap up today's episode, I just want to leave y'all with this. Healing doesn't just come from answers. It comes from courage. Courage to ask yourself those questions that you've been avoiding. Courage to sit in that uncertainty. Courage to lean into the parts of you that you still don't quite understand yet. Remember, healing is not neat, it's not quick, but when we allow ourselves to feel, when we allow ourselves to reflect, when we allow ourselves to invite in guidance, that's when transformation is possible. So honor your questions, honor the weight that you carry, honor the parts of you that are still learning and growing. Remember, even if you don't see anybody around, you're never on this healing journey alone. And to anchor this episode into a tangible practice, here's your spiritual ritual for today. First thing I want you to do is I want you to find a quiet place where nobody can disturb you. I don't care if you got to go out to your car, if you got to go to your bedroom, if you got to hide in a closet, go somewhere where nobody is going to bother you. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to take 3 deep breaths. Hold it for a beat. Exhale. Inhale deep. Hold it for a beat. Exhale. Inhale deep. Hold it for a beat. Exhale. I want you to place one hand over top of your heart. I want you to feel your heartbeat. I want you to feel your presence, feel your life, connect to it. I want you to imagine a golden glowing light coming from above straight into your heart, expanding with every breath that you take, filling up that space where fear and resistance used to be. Then I want you to ask yourself a question. Whisper this question to yourself. What do you need me to see? And then I want you to close off with this affirmation. You're going to replace my name with yours. I feel you, Darnell. I hear you, Darnell. I love you, Darnell. This is Make Love to You. I'm your host, Darnell Davis, and this is Healing in Real Time. I'll see you guys for our final part, part 4.
The mailman's here, got the vibe on cue. Talking about love like it's fresh and new. Self-care's the jam, yeah, that's the deal. Love yourself hard, let your heart heal. Make love to you, it's the name of the game. Life's too short to live in shame.